Welcome to Think Tank, the space where our diverse leaders tackle your diverse challenges. Today we've got a little bit of a unique challenge, which is how to think about professional development when you know that not everyone is going to be a leader. I'm Kelly Macias, lover of red lipstick and associate consultant for Array Coach. Won't you join me in welcoming our smart and sassy Think Tankers? Think Tankers, tell us who you are and where you're calling in from.
Hi, my name is Asha Mehta. I'm also a lover of red lipstick, and I run a leadership development consulting practice for feminists of color, and I'm calling from San Francisco, California.
Hello, I'm Robin Ingram, an assistant vice president at the Fund for Johns Hopkins Medicine, and I'm calling in from Baltimore, Maryland.
Hello, everybody. My name is Damon Packwood. I am the creator and executive director of Gameheads, and I'm calling from Oakland, California.
All right, thanks, Think Tankers, and hooray for the red lipstick. All right, so here's our challenge for today. Dear Think Tank, I'm leading a large division at a multinational company. I noticed that our internal professional development programs all focus on leadership or manager development. I want to be able to help folks with their professional development, especially our folks of color who, like myself, would benefit from some internal mentors and career sponsors. But here's my issue. I don't think every single person in the organization is leadership material. A number of my mid-level leaders want to recommend their favorite people for professional development. Is there a way I can recommend a different non-leader path for the folks who might need a professional leg up without forcing them into a leadership development pipeline where I don't think they will thrive? Signed, Senor X. Okay, Think Tanker, so what do we have to say about Senor X's dilemma?
So I just have a clarifying question. Are they saying that they're thinking of a way of providing some sort of training that doesn't involve leadership?
So the way I understand it, this person is interested in helping folks with their professional development, but doesn't think that everyone is leadership material. So presumably they have some kind of role in advancing leadership development or professional development for folks in the organization. So I understand the question is, how do I recommend potentially a non-leadership path for folks to develop, but whom may not be on their way to becoming formal leaders in the organization?
Yeah, I have a problem with that statement already.
Okay, well, say more about it.
Is leadership development not professional development? I mean, I think leadership development is professional development and vice versa. And then the idea that somebody is saying, I think some of them are not leadership worthy, I'm like, that's not your place to say if they're leadership worthy or not. You don't know who they're going to be in the next 5 to 10 years. And they might not even be thinking about being a leader, but maybe once they get into a leadership development track, that might change the way they think about their career trajectory. So I don't know, there's a whole lot of problems that I have with that statement.
Yeah, I was almost envisioning like a lot of different emojis, because at first I was energized at hearing that this person wanted to help people develop. And then I had another stream of thought that, you know what, everybody is not a leader, and that's fine. You need like some really solid people that are going to be on your team, to hold your team down and carry the team through. And you need those roles too. But then I had the same reaction as Damon of, one person is not the filter of who is a leader and who is not a leader. That's based off of, do you want to be a leader, and do you have the intrinsic values, and do people see leadership in you? So it's not just left up to one person to make that decision about the path that someone should or shouldn't go down.
Yeah, I think, as someone who does leadership development, the word is so explosive, the word leadership, and it has so many meanings,
Yep.
And And I think it takes some deconstructing, like, what are the meanings? So first there's like big L leadership, which is often what people talk about as just formal positions of power. Like people want, like the executive director or something like that. There's a small L leadership, which is like leadership organized, like community organizers, and use that term all the time for political leadership development in community. But all of it circles around power, I believe. And I think until people start to clarify their relationship and their notions of power, who has power, who doesn't, who's power material and who's not. I think everyone can build their leadership if you're talking about it as stepping into your power and your purpose. But that doesn't mean everyone wants to have a formal leadership position. So let's put that stuff out there.
My mom is known for having different sayings that really catch on to everybody in the family and friends. And she had one that was, the queen doesn't always wear the crown. And so it goes back to Asha, what you were saying about, that the position title, and I really like how you explained that. But sometimes you can be leading and not be in that, have that formal title as well.
I love that.
I love it. I love your mama already. I'm going to use that saying where I can. This makes me think a little bit about something that I'm thinking a lot about right now, which is the balance between leading and following. And it comes from this wonderful book I'm reading called Lead and Follow. And it's about the inspired dance of teamwork, written by someone who actually is a tango dancer. I love tango, so I'm going to bring tango up when I can. But she talks about the distinction between, we talk about leadership a lot in organizations. We don't talk about following. And in part because we think the leader is the person in charge, right? But that followers actually play a really active role if you think about social dance. And that there are ways that people are actively engaging in following that we don't often recognize as actually a powerful and empowered position. So I really liked hearing that not everyone is meant to be a formal leader, but everyone can progress and support and be a part of building something in an organization. And so I'm just curious about, when do we create space for people to both lead and follow, and recognize that both of those have roles. And so maybe someone may not have the title of manager or leader, but it doesn't mean that they don't have potential and they're not actually leading in some way.
And have influence as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to acknowledge that this person is trying to do right or do something good for the people that they're supervising, and it might be important for them to expand on their own leadership development. To Asha's point earlier, that maybe there's some work that you need to do around professional development and leadership development before you start suggesting a type of training or development for your staff. Because, again, and Robin said this earlier, you don't want to be like that one person just choosing who's going to be X, Y, and Z. So I mean, that's the couple things that come to mind. I love the tango. I love that tango thing, though.
Good.
Right?
I'll teach you if you want to come meet me in DC.
I love that tango too. And I think a lot of times what I think people need to start with is unlearning leadership, unlearning all the messages. Like sometimes when I'm doing a training, I'll start with, tell me 2 lies and 1 truth that you know about leadership, because there's been a lot of political energy put into us believing leadership is a certain thing. And I mean, if the first dominant culture theories of leadership, they call it the great man theory. They might as well call it the great white man theory, which was there was a white man that you had found who was chosen by God and you follow that person. So leading and following, and then this history of leadership theory has all been about leading and following and leading. And really, I mean, where I've gotten with it is that leadership is not a verb. It's not a noun. It's not a human. It's not one person. Leadership is a verb. So everyone needs to know how to follow, and everyone needs to know how to lead based on who they are in their moments of strength. But if we want to get serious about people of color and racial equity work, we should remember that the idea that people of color are not leadership material has been ingrained and indoctrinated in us as a part of this political operation.
Yes.
You know what, Asha, your comment kind of triggered me back to some conversations we've had on our leadership team, talking about how do we support people. And we got in there, my point that I was trying to get across is that don't always assume that the way to help people of color is to offer degree programs to help them get their college degree. You know, there are some of us that we've done that, you know, and more, you know, multiple. And so it's the notion that you always think that you have to provide like some of the basics to help people. Now, don't get me wrong. Like we do, you know, because of these systems and everything that we've experienced, we are in situations where we do need that, but it's not 100% everyone, you know, and I think that sometimes people think that it's 100% everyone. It's not 100% either way.
Yeah, something that you all have been talking about made me think also about who gets recognized for having leadership and influence in organizations. Because in my experience, very often it's not the person whose name or title, right, is on the letterhead or in the, you know, the big office. It's usually people who are doing things that may get unseen or overlooked, but who actually are doing quite a lot to keep the organization running, like the operations staff or the HR staff, right? People who, the assistants, people whose names don't get lifted up very often, if at all, but who are absolutely 100% leading. And so it definitely makes me think about reframing how we talk about leadership as not just being the person who gets the most accolades or who is the most visible. Absolutely.
I got to do an amen to that. That's so true.
Yes, amen and ashe.
So amen, ashe, all the things. Well, we're close to time, but let me just recap what I've heard us talk about today. I've heard a little bit of like, hey, we're a little salty. This doesn't sit right with us. Is it your place to say who gets to lead and who doesn't, right? You may need to think a little bit about that. A recognition that, right, everyone may not be a leader, but, you know, we need to prepare paths for people to develop. I also heard the little bit of understanding what leadership is, because we talk about leadership in this big L leadership way, but there are many ways to lead. And we start with thinking about who has power, who doesn't, thinking about all of those kinds of things. We talked about leading and following. Robin's mama wasn't here, but she was here in spirit when she said the queen doesn't always wear the crown. And then lastly, one of the really powerful things I heard was we really need to decolonize this idea of leadership development, right? That we've been told very often that people of color aren't leadership material, and we need to push back against those narratives. So a lot for Senior X to think about. Thank you so much for sending in the question. Thank you so much to our ThinqTanqers who always offer brilliant insights. And just a reminder to our viewers out there, if you have a leadership challenge or a challenge at all that you want us to take a crack at, please send it to ThinqTanq@raycoach.com. That's ThinqTanq with 2 Q's. And we appreciate you as our founder, Ray from Ray Coach would say, Queden say, and we'll see you soon.